is up, my Shadowverse soldiers, and welcome back to another Shadowverse Evolved video. So in the last video we were doing the Abysscraft reveals, but today we're going to be doing Forestcraft, and I know in the last set they did a lot of revealing for a lot of hunter cards, and the hunter cards didn't really do that much, but I know in set 6 there's definitely going to be a huge upgrade for the archetype and then some more. So let's go ahead and get into the first card. Alright, so the first card we're going to be looking at is Amata's Fairy Blader. So it's a 2-cost 2/2. When it comes into play, you put a fairy into your EX area and give +1/+1 to all fairy followers in your EX area. And you can also activate to engage this card and then choose up to 2 fairy followers with a cost of 1 or less from your field and then give them Storm. So yet again, some more fairy token support. I don't think this card is going to save this deck at all because fairy token spam is one of the worser decks. But you know, what I believe is that every deck that gets lots of support will eventually be good at some point in time, because if they keep printing support, it'll just get good. They'll print a card that'll just bring it all together. Alright, and we have Assault Jaguar, so it's a 3-cost 4/1, it has Rush, and then Last Word, so when it dies, you look at the top 2 cards of your deck. From among them, you may put a Hunter card to your hand and then put the rest into your graveyard. So not bad. We have a Rush follower that can swing into those pesky followers that either swung into our other followers or swung into something that might be causing us some problems, and then we can get a card back from the top 2 after it dies. Alright, next up we have Crossbow Sniper, so it's a 1-cost 1/1, has a fanfare ability to discard a Hunter card from your hand, and then you choose an enemy leader or a follower from the enemy field and then deal 1 damage to it and then draw a card. Now I wholesomely believe that this card is going to be locked into the Hunter archetype because we have Elfchild May as a 1-cost to be dealing 1 damage to a follower, but I do like Crossbow Snipers able to ping an enemy leader as well. Moving on, we have Elvin Sentry, so he's a 5-cost 4/4, and when you play this card you can subtract X from this card's cost. X is equal to the number of fairies on your field, and he also has Rush. A very interesting ability to make a follower a 1-cost 4/4, but it does look like it has a lot of setup attached to it because you have to have a full board of fairies on the field. But it is pretty nice that he has Rush too, so you can go ahead and get into an engaged follower or a warded follower or anything and just do 4 damage to him and then follow up with the rest of your fairies. And then we have Fairy Dragon, so it's a 2-cost 0/4, it has Ward, and when it comes into play, this card gets +X. X is the equal to the number of fairy tokens on your field and in your EX area. And then it has Last Word, so when it dies, you put a Fairy Wisp and a fairy into your EX area. So a lot of fairy token spam support here. So I don't know if any of these cards are really going to save the deck, but it is making more of the deck just come together. We're going to be putting more cards that synergize with the deck. So it is probably going to move up in tiers when I do my next tier list, but I do not think that it's going to be top tier if anything. Alrighty, and then we have Brier Elf, so it's a 2-cost 2/3, has a fanfare ability, so when he comes into play you can banish a fairy token from your EX area, and you can look at the top 4 cards of your deck. From among them, you may put a Forestcraft card to your hand and then put the rest to the bottom of your deck. So for this set, it does seem like that they're pushing the fairy token spam stuff, but I think this might be good in Forestcraft overall as a turn 2 play, just because you can use this in a synergize with Fairy Circle. It's 1-cost, you give 3 fairies in the EX area. You can play this the very next turn. Go ahead and get rid of one of the fairies you're probably not going to be wanting to play since they're 1-cost 1/1s. You get rid of them, and then you look at the top 4 of your deck, and then you can find any Forestcraft card that you might need in the moment and put it to your hand. Moving on, we have Greenwood Guardian, so she's a 2-cost 3/2. She has Ward, and when she comes into play, you put the top card of your deck into your graveyard, and then if there are 3 or more Hunter cards in your graveyard, this card gets +1 defense. This is definitely a bronze card ability. It becomes a 3/3 with Ward, and it definitely, synergizes with the Hunter stuff because Hunters really get the most of their effects when there are 3 or more cards in the cemetery. So as long as you have 3 cards in the cemetery, which you will be doing, along with a fanfare of Greenwood of just putting a card into your cemetery like Necrocharge, you will definitely get the 3 Hunters in there with no problem. Alright, and we have our first legendary card for Forestcraft. So we have the Maga Forest Champion. She's a 6-cost 4/4. You can evolve her for 2. She has Storm and Bane. And when she comes into play, you look at the top 4 cards of your deck. From among them, you may put a Hunter follower with the original cost of 4 less onto the field, and then put the rest of the bottom of your deck in any order. So it looks like this is going to be the card that's going to bring all of the Hunter cards together, since you're going to be looking at the top 4 from this fanfare ability to just play a Hunter that costs 4 or less onto the field. Alright, and then we have the Forest Champion evolve, so she still has Storm and Bane. She becomes a 5/5, but on evolve, you look at the top 4 cards of your deck. From among them, you may put a Hunter follower with the original cost of 4 or less into the field, put the rest in the bottom of your deck in any order. So I love card abilities like this that just plays you a card and then you can play another card. And then with the Evo, you're going to be playing another card. So the amount of hunters you're going to be playing, and then there's going to be a whole bunch of fanfare effects going on depending on whatever hunter you want to play. And there's definitely a lot of hunters to choose from in this set. And then we have Mallet Monkey. So he's a 3-cost 2/1. You can evolve him for 1. He has Storm, but he has another ability of Fanfare to spend 2 play points to search for a Mallet Monkey from your deck and put it onto the field. So it looks and reminds me of that Abysscraft card we were talking about the other day, where you can play him and then you can evolve him and then play another card onto the field. Well, this just has the Fanfare ability to spend a total of 5 to get another Mallet Monkey on the field, and then you can evolve him for 1. But the best thing about it is they do have Storm, so they can swing immediately. So looking at the Mallet Monkey evolve, so it has Storm and it becomes a 4/3. Yeah, this looks like a really weird way of doing like a Forte. Unfortunately, these guys don't have Aura. I mean, it would be a crazy world if they did, but they do have Storm. You can evolve one of them, and then you can swing for a total of 6 damage. So if your opponent's at a really weird spot, and you're just trying to fill up your Forestcraft deck with some Storm, you know, with Mallet Monkey and Sakuna and stuff like that, and getting that combo up, I think that's a pretty good ability to be using. Alrighty, and then we have Spirit Shine, a 1-cost spell. You can either choose one of the following. You can either 1, choose a fairy token from your field or EX area and give it +2/+2, or 2, you can put 2 fairies into your EX area. So it looks like they're really pushing fairy token spam here, but I love the fact that this 1-cost spell has a multitude of abilities, just being the 2. Now, if you're ever in a situation where you don't have the fairies to give the buff, now you have the option to either give the fairies the buff or to spawn more fairies to give them buffs in the future. Alright, we have another spell card, Synchronized Slash. It's a 1-cost spell. You can engage 2 hunter followers on the field, and then you choose a follower on the enemy field and deal 4 damage to it. Now, I feel like this would have been the perfect card to be a quick spell, but then I would feel like hunters would just be absolutely amazing. So the hunter card that we looked at earlier that has ward and gets a buff on stats, if you have the extra play points and another follower on the field that is a hunter, you're able to engage those 2 cards. You get a good synchronization of engaging the hunter card, and then you're able to deal 4 damage to something with a cost of 1 in a spell. And then we have Wildwood and Matriarch, so she's a 4-cost 3/3. You can evolve her for 2, and when she comes into play, if this card was put onto the field by an effect, you can evolve this card. So I am paying attention to your guys' comments on if a card has a specific ability to evolve, you can go ahead and evolve it. So it looks like we're going to be using our legendary cards Evo or on its regular ability to just go ahead and get this card out so you can evolve at the same turn. It's not going to cost for your Evo. So let's go ahead and figure out what this evolve card does. Alrighty, and we have the Matriarch evolve, so she becomes a 4/4. And then on evolve, you can choose up to 2 hunter followers with a rangers cost of 2 or less from your graveyard and put them onto the field. So it looks like both with the legendary and this card, you're going to be filling up your board very nicely and very quickly. So if you have the max amount of play points, I think a total of 8, you can just get this card off of the top 4, you play this card, and then you're able to evolve since you didn't play her from your hand, and then you're able to choose 2 hunter cards to be put from the graveyard onto the field, and if you did it on the first ability for the legendary, you can evolve her and then do it again, and then fill up the whole entire board with some hunters. Alright, next up we have Woodland Cleaver, so she's a 2-cost 2/2, you can evolve her for 1, and then when she comes into play, if this card was put onto the field by an effect, she gains Storm. So it looks like there's a lot of synergy going on with this deck. So we have the Crossbow Sniper to pitch the Woodland Cleaver. We're going to get her back with Matriarch in the late game. But if you get Woodland Cleaver off the top 4 with Maga, that's pretty good too. So there's a lot of things going on and synergies, which we will be talking about in our Inverse Academy for set 6. And then we have the Windland Cleaver evolve. So on evolve, you choose a follower on the enemy field and then deal 2 damage to it. So not a very bad effect, especially if she's going to have Storm, you're going to be swinging with 3. And this has an evolve effect of Angelic Snipe. Alrighty, and then lastly, we have our Maga alternate art. It looks very beautiful. She's got, you know, sacred armor, whatever that's going on. But I'm glad you guys were able to get through this Forestcraft video, because I know I'm very excited to do this Hunter video in the future, because Hunters were a little lackluster in the past. Now they actually have like a lot going on with just a couple of cards with the Matriarch and then the legendary Maga. So if you are looking to get this card and, you know, play Hunters as good as it is, then, you know, go ahead and pick them up, or I pray that you pull them since we have new pull rates, which I feel like I should have talked about before, but that's okay. But alright guys, that is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. You don't know how much it means that you are watching this stuff. And I usually give updates towards the end of the video, but I really, we're just doing the reveals right now, and as far as what's going on for next week, I don't know. Or whenever we're going to do another market watch, we might do a couple more market watches towards, next week. I'll probably focus on that because, market watches usually come out on Wednesday. But, guys, be safe in whatever you do tonight, and be safe in whatever you do for the rest of the year. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Yeah, TRINN. Just to get you away. What I got to do, what I got to do. Just to get you away. What I got to do, what I got to do. Just to get you away. You pull me too close, now we hesitate. Every single